our same-sex couples access to federal benefits using a state method. And I understand marriage is a way for couples to qualify for federal benefits. However, it's my belief that our congressional delegation from our wonderful state can appeal to President Obama and to our federal government. I think this was reiterated yesterday based on what I've seen. I think that's a viable solution for us to conserve resources here in our state, be able to consider all the interests and benefits that all parties involved are looking at. I do believe that necessitates more time, and that the deliberative process of lawmaking is so long, and its inertia is slow to move for good reason. And as you can see, so many people are interested in this bill passing or not passing for their respective reasons. And so ultimately, my own personal beliefs, I'm happily married to my wife, and we have two great children. And so for me, I think the solution needs to be better thought out, better vetted, as I heard recently, to reflect and to protect interests.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Well, I guess final question for you, Feki, is recently graduating from law school, in the process of creating good laws, did you guys ever discuss when good law, because people have to live by law, is there some kind of a line or a nexus where law and the people who have to live under the law, well, how important is it in law school for the people who live under the laws to participate in making those laws?
Oh, it's critical. I mean, that makes this move completely. And that's why we have checks and balances. That's why we have those legislative bodies. That's why we have judicial bodies. That's why we have our executive, so that this is put in balance. So this is something we should make better use of. Just in my own experience, I've talked to a lot of people. We've had thousands of letters. People who say, I don't agree with that. I've heard that multiplied time and time again, and I think that just needs to be transferred here to this forum so that people understand that this is not what a majority of the people want, given the current language in this bill. And I think that's reflective of answers from even our esteemed Attorney General and other people as well. So I think we do need more time to consider this. We need more time to flesh this out, and I know there's a lot of pressures at play here.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Brower.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When I came in, there was a gentleman with an impassioned speech in the gray shirt with the black backpack, if he would entertain a question. And I respect your intensity.
Sorry, my wife went right before me. Got me fired up.
There you go. Do you believe it's okay for the state to recognize in some way a same-sex couple?
I'm sorry, you're asking me what?
Currently, we have civil unions. Do you have a problem that we have civil unions in the state of Hawaii?
Actually, no.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with people having the opportunity to live in a way that they choose. They have free agency to do as they will and to live their lives freely.
Okay, so on some level, you believe it's permissible for the state to recognize a same-sex couple. And would you agree, is it okay with you that the state gives the benefits, privileges, and rights of marriage to a same-sex couple?
Having equivalent, as I understand it, okay, having equivalent benefits, if this is about benefits, that isn't the issue, right, for me, like you said.
Well, let me try and zero in on the question.
Okay.
It seems okay with you that the state recognizes a same-sex couple. Which privilege, benefit,
You're saying what they should be, what they should not receive?
yeah, should they get all the privileges and benefits that a heterosexual marriage has? Or should this same-sex union not receive all the same benefits and privileges in the eyes of the state?
In the eyes of the state, and I guess maybe I'm not qualified to answer this question, okay, because in one sense, all right, because we have already put to bed, or we thought we put to bed, whether how we define marriage, and then also we have gone to the battle in regards to civil unions, I will adhere to the law of the land. And that's, and if you ask me if I accept civil unions, if that is the law of the land, I would accept it. However, if you're going to ask me, you know, to determine what somebody's being denied, is that what you're asking me?
Well, if a same-sex couple is going to be recognized by the state and receive all the same benefits and privileges as a married couple, why wouldn't we call it marriage? We can't have a
Because
heterosexual...
the word marriage, okay, is not just another 8-letter word, okay, as we had talked about earlier. Marriage, okay, is not just any coupling. It's not chocolate and peanut butter, okay? We're talking about the procreative union of man and woman, male and female, okay? That is the basis of all civilization. And I don't understand how, we would not be here if not for a procreative union between man and woman.
Well, not all
There's no-
marriages are to have children.
Maybe not. But the basis of civilization, okay, is built around that procreative union. Whether you believe in Adam and Eve or you believe in just evolution, and you're going to say that it started with the first male and female members of our species, that is something that needs to be protected, and that's what has provided stable civilization for years. I had another representative, the one from Maui, so Representative Ng, and he was sharing with us his stances on things, and he referenced facts about the homosexual community. There always being a homosexual community, you know, throughout ancient history as part of his support for the bill. However, terrific, but I can go back to the procreative union of man and woman. I can promise you that is first. So if that can't be protected, then I'm not for anything else.
The
But we were
definition of
told-
marriage, though, has changed.
I'm sorry?
The definition of marriage, in some ways, has changed throughout decades.
It has changed by whom?
By governments.
By governments, okay? But like we had heard earlier in earlier testimony, okay, marriage was initially instituted by religions. It was only when government put its hands into regulating for purposes of permitting or not permitting interracial marriage, okay, and other types of things, and to be able to license and to tax and to be able to regulate it, okay. But that it initiated. Either whether you look at it one way or the other, it initiated with the churches. That was marriage. That's who brought marriage to the table. But now the government just can't pull its hands out. Instead, wants to regulate
I
it
think
more.
you guys.
No, thank you, Madam Chair. And in the interest of time, I would like to leave our guest with the last word. Thank you.
Okay, no, that's good. Okay, and then so we're gonna take next set of testify. Okay, Representative Har.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Kia, can you please come back up? Sorry. Just one thing. You know, in your testimony, you said that the people's trust is broken in government. Why would you say that?
Because I think you've heard through many of the testimonies that were brought up today, how we thought this bill was, this issue of same-sex marriage, and how we define marriage, whether the word or the institution, had been put to bed and put to rest. It had been brought to the people.
Are you referring to the 1998 Con-Am?
Absolutely. And that we thought that had been done. Okay? And then also, well, yeah, primarily that. And that the
Okay,
fact that it's
so-
being brought up again.
Okay, so if this bill does pass out, what is that going to do to your view of government? If some form of this bill passes out and same-sex marriage is legalized, what is that going to do to your view of government?
Well, it definitely. I mean, And it seems as if this is an agenda that's driven not from our local community. And that's the problem that it seems to be. You know, and I'm dressed like this because I came from the soccer fields today, okay, with my family. And this is what people are talking about on the soccer fields, is how insulted they were by the Senate, how insulted they were by the rush by the governor. And in terms of our culture, we have a very unique culture in all the world of many
Mr. Kia,
different cultures.
Are you saying you'd be insulted if this bill came out of the House?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Kia.
thank you. Can we move on to the next set of Representative Fale?
I have one more question for the same testifier, please, sir. We were told during the course of this special session that it was only going to cost between $26,000 and $30,000. That was supposedly the number that it's going to cost the state coffers. Can I ask you what you have given up and the cost that this has been to you and your family in regards to having to come out here, some people, over the course of the past 7 days and now going into the weekend? Because I've talked to fathers who have given up 3 days of work, and these are people that are severely financially strapped. But this was that important. We have kids sleeping on the floor, on the cold floor outside to be here. Can you tell me what this has cost to you and your family to be here?
I've been here fighting in between work, in between, you know, sacrificing time that I have reserved from my family. Been here late, my legs are weary, my eyesight is kind of blurry right now. But I tell you,
And I'm sure it's not helping that we're making you
I
stay
can't put
longer.
I mean, I don't have an Excel spreadsheet in front of me to figure out what it's cost me in gas and time and the lost opportunity costs of being here instead of working. But I can tell you, it's been significant, especially when you think of all the other issues of this state that I have to compensate for through extra effort where we're failing already, where we should be putting our attention to.
Okay,
Chair, last question of the night.
Thank you, madam.
Representative Ng.
I promise, last one. Same testifier. Thanks for the shout out. I appreciate it.
I need a chair if I'm going to do another one.
I really respect the conviction of your testimony over here.
Sorry.
Little guy. I really respect the conviction of your testimony. I think what's really important in this discourse over the last week is having empathy for the other side. And so, you know, I've tried to, you must understand that we got to deal with a group of people who lack certain rights that another group of people don't. Another group is trying to protect their rights to freely express their religion. And, you know, I understand from your good conscience and your Christian conscience that you want to be able to freely express your religion. You believe that, you know, we discussed this earlier, that in order to show love to your LGBT brothers and sisters, one way for you to do that is to lead them to Christ. And, you know, I really respect that. But I wanted to ask you, if you're in our shoes as a policymaker that has to make decisions not just for Christians, not just for the LGBT community, but for the entire state, including other religions that may agree with marrying members of the same sex. And would you be comfortable to vote no and deny equal rights to people?
I'd be comfortable voting no and squashing this bill, which is, again, a sloppy piece of government that's been tried to be thrust down upon us.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, thank you. Can we take the testifier? My apologies to the next testifier. She didn't make it in the grouping. We're going to take her out because of ADA compliance. Thank you.
Chairpersons Luke and Rhodes, House Judiciary and Finance Committee members. I'm Elaine Cam, number 4284, a grandmother, and I'm representing also the parents and some educators. I strongly oppose Senate Bill 1 relating to same-sex marriage because it's a poorly crafted, incomplete bill that I believe will create many more problems and many more lawsuits to crowd our of one woman and one man to mean same-sex gender unions. In response to the 6-day time limit to get this bill passed, I would like to say, respond in this way. An American patriot, probably Patrick Henry, once said, "The Constitution is not an instrument for the government to restrain the people. It is an instrument for the people to restrain the government, lest it come to dominate our lives and interests." I'm sure many of you could identify with that. And in closing, I would like to urge you to vote no to SB1 and adopt the many entries from the bill HB6, which Representatives Marco Shiro and Joe Jordan had so diligently put together. And please invite resource people such as Reverend Jonathan Steeper of Kalihi Union Church to brainstorm and get this thing right, because we do want to help the minority LGBTs.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to make an announcement that we are accepting up to testifier 4800. 4800, up to 4800. With that, next testifier, can you please come up?
I'm number 4565, Tania Aliki, and I come from the North Shore, and I strongly oppose this Senate Bill number 1. I'm speaking on behalf of my children, my 4 children, because as a parent, I feel that this bill does not protect me as a parent. Being able to teach my children what I want them to learn. That's why I'm here, to speak for them, so that they, will be able to have their religious freedom. And you take that away from my children, I'm sorry, but I'm not okay with that. And I know, the majority of the people in this room are not okay with that as well. I don't have any fancy terms or words to say, but I want you to know that, the people that are outside that have been here all week, like they said, they've been sacrificing their time at work, time with their family, and that has to say something, that this bill is wrong and you need to kill this bill. And it doesn't protect also our religious institutions like it. So, it kind of says, there's no definite, or there's no real definition of what you're trying to say in this bill about religious organizations. It doesn't protect that as well, and I just hope that you can see that.
Thank you very much. Next up.
Damian Lawnert, number 4426. Chair Rhodes, Chair Luke, and members of the committees of the Judiciary and Finance, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to testify. I'm a straight man and a Christian. If anyone here were to oppose this bill, it'd be me. But I don't, because I couldn't care less who marries whom. It's quite frankly none of my business what anyone else does, as long as they're not hurting me. Same-sex marriage doesn't hurt me because I'm not trying to impose my personal morality onto others. To the opponents of the bill, I say, if you don't like same-sex marriage, then don't marry someone of the same sex. However, you have no right to deny that of loving couples. I'm also a dedicated husband and loving father. I can't even fathom what it'd be like to not have the freedom to marry the woman I love. Representatives, if you are also straight, can you possibly imagine what it'd be like to not have that freedom we take for granted? Yet that is exactly what gays and lesbians have had to endure, and that is why I strongly support SB1 without amendment. You don't have to be homosexual. You don't have to be comfortable with homosexuality to pass this bill. And I urge you to pass this bill. Mahalo for your time.
Thank you. Can you tell me your number again? Sorry.
My number is 4,426. My name is Damian Launert.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up.
Aloha, ke'akua. I've been waiting a long time to be here. Very long time. I am an indigenous people. I am a minority too.
Oh, can you tell me your name and
My
number?
name is Tradell Haney. My number is 4603. Honorable Chair Rhodes, Luke and other representatives, this is an addendum to my previous testimony. I'm not even sure if it got through to you. Aaron Johansson, thank you for representing IAEA. I am a resident of IAEA. I am also privileged to be a resident of Ke'au. I have two places, so I do have a voice here this time. Big Island does not. I am a mother, wife of Philip, and I have 4 boys, Jacob, Joshua, Spencer, and David, one of which is serving in the Navy. I am an honorably discharged veteran. My husband has put 40 years. He is a veteran of the Vietnam War. He did not come back honorably to a gracious nation. And for that, I humbly apologize to him. But what you are trying to do is take away. I do want to thank you, though, for allowing us to speak, because on Monday I was given 1 minute. And 1,000 were turned away. I swore, as you did, to solemnly swear to defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of Hawaii, because I represented the Hawaii Guard when I went in. So I am a militia. I am from this island.
Okay, thank you very much.
I
Okay.
oppose it.
Thank you. I wanted to make another announcement. We are now taking anybody in the 5,000 block. So all the way to everyone who registered to 5,182. Anyone in the 5,000 block, please register. Okay, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Aloha, Chairs Rhodes, Luke, and members of the committee. I am Mike Ward, number 24601. Oops, that's John Valjean's prisoner number. My number is 4606. I am a professor at New Hope Christian College, Hawaii, a husband of 1 female wife for nearly 43 years, a grandfather of 9, and a proud member of Representative Ty Cullen's district. I strongly oppose SB1 in every one of my roles. Special mahalos to Representative Cullen and Representative Har for their unflagging support on this and other issues of concern I have had. I pledge my continued political support for their strong stand and for the care of the people. Obviously, Governor Abercrombie was wrong. The debate is far from over, and thank God it continues, for this flawed bill is hardly ready for prime time. As Judge Elwin Ahu elegantly pointed out in his testimony in Q&A, this bill is a lawyer's dream. I am convinced that with time and full dialogue, a proper bill can be crafted. The current bill is far more about special interests and future agendas than it is about civil rights. I have no problem giving gays and civil unions access to full tax benefits. That should be done at the federal level, not the state level. But I adamantly oppose the redefinition of millennials' old definition of marriage believe that SB1 has inadequate protections for people of faith to freely exercise our First Amendment rights of both speech and religion, a right that I proudly served in the Air Force for 30 years to defend. Dr. Steeper shared earlier the dismantling of those rights in Canada and Europe. Thank you. I oppose SB1.
Thank you very much. Next.
For 670, Eileen Joy Kakal, Waipahu. I strongly oppose this bill. I am a sinner, saved by the grace of Jesus Christ. And this is the answer God put on my heart. No matter what happens to this bill, whether you pass it or you oppose it, we must submit to governing authority, because each and every one of you have been placed there by God to serve the people for the good of the people. But He is sovereign. Rest assured that whatever happens, the wrath, and I loose upon you the fear of the Lord. Don't fear Governor Neil Abercrombie. And Caniela, be very cautious about using the Word of God. Unless your Bible looks like this, look at me. This is the truth. Delve in it. Okay? If you don't read it, meditate on it. This is Jesus Christ. He is here to divide between Christians and biblical Christians. Okay? If you are hot or cold, He would rather you be that way, because you read in Revelation the lukewarmness, He will spit you out of His mouth. Okay? Believe it. You are denying not the people, but God Himself. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, is the person you are denying. Don't look at this people. Close your eyes, for the Holy Spirit is here. Today is the beginning of a revival in Hawaii. Jesus Christ be glorified. If you open your eyes, He has unified His church. And if you are ready to see the glory of God, be excited. God's people, today, this special session has glorified Jesus Christ. And this is the difference between the gay community and us. Our rights to be married is a blessing. It is not a right. I do not deserve it because I am a sinner. But everything that He gives us is a blessing and a grace. No one deserves it, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Fear God, not the people.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
My name is Jesse Ponce de Leon, number 4672. Chairs and applicable committee members. I am in strong opposition to Senate Bill SB1. The family institution is the important institution that we must keep in fact and intact, even though the mainstream media has used its power to skew the real importance of the family, love, and respect with programming that divides and confuses families because of the continual non-positive program about families, life. Members of the legislature, if you individually believe in your family, your roots, your families, how important the message is, you know it. You will vote in opposition. The process in the Hawaii government has brought us to this point is nothing more than how legislation is pushed through the United States Congress by special interest dictators. Special interests write the legislation, they submit, our Congress people move the process forward. Where is the people in all of this? Why doesn't the mainstream media spell out this behavior to the community? Newswire Hawaii on Olelo Community Media does just that. Mr. Abercrombie is quite aware of the process. He's been in Congress for many years. People need to wake up, and maybe now it's happening. So I can say that looking at SB1 quickly, the purpose of this act is to recognize marriages between the individuals of the same sex in the state of Hawaii.
will occur. One of the dreadful consequences is the restroom issue. It creates a fear among women and among those who have daughters and granddaughters. I'm now horrified to think that I or my daughter might run into a male who claims to be female when we go to public restrooms. I came from mainland China. I came here to pursue peace and happiness, but now I'm afraid to go to restrooms. Dear chairwoman, are you afraid to go to public restrooms that you will run into a male who claims to be female? Dear chairman, do you have daughters? Do you have a wife? If you don't have daughters or wife, each of you has a mother. Some males, boys or adults, may use this as an excuse and go to public restroom to harass ladies. Dear chairs, you are lawmakers. Do women have the rights of privacy to use public restrooms? We women are the weaker ones in the society. If the law does not protect us, who will? Dear chairwoman, the issue concerns me as well as you. Dear chairman, will you use your power to protect your daughters and your wife and your mother? Passing the SB1 also creates unfairness to women. My 10-year-old daughter is a swimmer and competes in various meets. If a boy claims to be a girl and joins the girls' team, is it fair that all the girls compete with him?
Thank you very much.
Say no.
Next, please.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm David Moore. I'm from the Waianae Coast. I represent the Waianae Coast, Macau, and Yokohama. I've lived out there for about 35 years.
Oh, sorry, could we have your number too?
Yes, I'm sorry. 4874.
Thank you.
Okay, hear, oh, legislators, the Lord your God is one in everything. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, and soul. Love your neighbor as yourself. This is the greatest commandment, not the law of the land, but love. But love has rules, not my rules. Rules that don't hurt. I did sex with many people. I hurt a lot of people. I was a pervert till someone challenged me to read this. Challenged me. It changed my life. And it does say, in the beginning, this is 5,000 years old. This is a history book, recorded 5,000 years. They cannot find fault with it. One man, one woman. There's nothing wrong with that. I am a father, a grandfather. I have Hanai kids. I don't know how many. I have been so blessed. They're Hawaiian, Chinese, Japanese. They're gay. I am so blessed to have them. And we're coming here, and I thank you for bringing us here, because we see your motives. You have shown us who you are and what you are. And for righteousness, we will go. I have learned so much from you guys. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So my last moment is this. Let truth reign. God have mercy on your souls. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Good evening, Chairman Rhodes and members of the committee. Thank you for your patience and your endurance. I am speaker number 4929, Marcia Linville. I am free white 21, free white 77, straight as an arrow Christian, and the product of 400 years of Puritan heritage. And I strongly support SB1. There has been a lot of emotional talk over the last week. God ordained traditional values, let the people vote, the Constitution, sex education, homosexual agenda, and I still can't find out what that is, protect the children, even God will take his blessings away from Hawaii. But none of that is what SB1 is about. This bill is about issuing a license to two people who have made a commitment so that they can live together with the protection, benefits, and responsibilities Many of them turn to religion, but they do not always get the right kind of help. For example, take the God-ordained argument. This would seem to imply that at some point God ordained and spoke to someone saying, marriage shall consist of one person, a man and a woman. I don't find that in the Bible. The most relevant person that I can remember in the Bible to whom God spoke was Father Abraham. God told him to sleep with his wife's maid to beget a child. From the children of Abraham came the peoples of three great religions. From his firstborn, the maid's wife, the Muslim religion, which allows one man, 4 wives. From his second, the Hebrew religion, with King Solomon and his 100 wives and 1,000 concubines. And the Judeo-Christian. And I give you that great protector of the Christian faith, King Henry VIII, with 7 wives, some of whom he enjoyed concomitantly. And in Africa, polygamy, many wives, is the tradition.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
My name is Marion Logan. I'm number 4830. I come from the Kailua District. Thank you, Representative Thielen. I have to readily admit to you that I've heard the technical arguments presented, of which I've addressed in my written submitted testimony. I am opposed to Senate Bill 1. Now with that, I want to address this as a professional youth community worker, a Christian minister, and a soon-to-be father. On behalf of some of the painful, hurtful, and outright disrespectful responses from professing Christians to you, the legislature, and the LGBT community, I want to ask your forgiveness. Over the last 3 years, I've read the sentiment from many LGBT communities against Christians, calling us hateful, bigoted, oppressive, closed-minded, Puritans, mean, and judgmental. While those sentiments are true in some cases, like the Westboro Baptist Church, these do not reflect the general population. I have a close family member, an immediate family member, who is gay. In my own journey as a Christian, my family and I misunderstood, we misunderstood each other based on our sentiments, not reality. I thought he was accusing me of being the aforementioned things and vice versa. I told him that I would attend his ceremony if it was to happen, but I couldn't perform his ceremony because of my beliefs. This is the one thing that I want to address. Because I have a different belief, does that mean that I'm bigoted? Aren't there values from both sides? Are we allowed to have differences of opinion? I honestly cannot stand the media bullying, labeling, and media sentiment against Christians. I'm not against the GLBT community, but I am against labeling. I am against indoctrination. And this is what will happen if we legalize this, if we legalize this. I want to say this. I just want to ask the question, why? Why is it necessary to accommodate the needs of the few on behalf of the many?
Thank you very much. Next.
Hello, I am Chris Dida, 5173. Thank you. I am a husband and a father from District 36, and I support SB1. When I hear "let the people decide," I ask who? The majority of the past several days, if they got their way, the minority would never gain equality. That's why we need rulings like Loving and Windsor. Representatives, I humbly ask that you stand firm against threats like Remember November and decide not to allow our state to continue to deprive the liberty of those seeking marriage equality. The religiously motivated say they need more time to study the issue. They've had over 20 years, and they've done nothing. So what if it wasn't this particular bill? They said the same things we've heard tonight in 1990, in 1998, 2010, and 2011 with the Civil Unions Bill. It's abundantly clear that they will not use more time in good faith. The absolutism declared ad nauseum about what God thinks means they won't change their mind until God does. They don't want that my daughter may one day discover that she belongs to the minority. So my wife and I are doing our best to prepare her for the complexities of lived experience, straight or not. By age 6, she had already been to a civil union ceremony. It took her 5 minutes to grasp the basic concept. We explained most people like the same sex, some like the opposite sex. You'll probably like a boy. But if not, we'll talk. And I said, don't worry about this right now, have fun being a kid. And she said, okay. And that started a conversation that's ongoing till today. So don't be distracted by the family
Thanks very
argument.
much.
Thank you.
Next, please.
Aloha. My number is 4933. My name is Ha'olilani Hires. Thank you very much, Chair Rhodes and Chair Luke, and distinguished chair members of this committee for allowing us all to speak. Personally, I believe that this is just not about heterosexuals against homosexuals whatsoever, especially since I am a Christian. And this is because as being a Christian, we choose our religion, and with that religion, we have the Bible to abide by, and in the Bible, it defines marriage for us, and we try our best to our abilities to adhere to the rules that are in this Bible. But another rule in this Bible is the golden rule, and that just means, wow, this is hard, yeah. This just means that treat others as though as you would like to be treated. Hence why I oppose SB1, because it just infringes on my First Amendment rights of freedom of speech and freedom of religion. If we could just clarify this bill where we're able to have the homosexuals be able to obtain their rights, but also keep my freedom of speech and freedom of religion, that I am a young citizen doing my best to honor my nation. I would appreciate that. And this is probably the most divisive issue you have ever faced, because strikes at the core of deeply held religious beliefs and individual rights. I think you are well aware that there is a sizable portion of your constituency who do not support this bill. I therefore urge you to vote no on this bill and let the people decide, because it is the right thing to do. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Next.
Good evening. My name is Kenya Bostic. My number is 5079. When I came to the island in 2001, I didn't know that I would be still here on the island today. I am a Christian. I'm a mom of 4. And as a mother, I have to fight for my children. I have to fight for their rights. I have to fight to protect them. I am opposing Bill S1. I have served in the military. I'm a citizen now here in Hawaii. I love the Lord, and I hope He hears my cry when I say no. Let the people vote. No to SB1. No to SB1. I am from Florida originally. Equal rights, back with Martin Luther King, has nothing to do with civil union or same-sex marriage. We, as the people, we have a voice. Please listen to our voices. Vote no. Let God arise and let His enemies be scattered. Vote no. And that is my testimony.
Thank you very much. Next.
Thank you. I have 26 seconds still left.
You do, but
Please vote no. Vote no. Vote no. Vote no. I love the Lord. And kill the bill.
Aloha, that was a hard act to follow. My name is PM Azinga. My number is 5085, and I stand against SB1. Hawaii ponoi, nanai komoi, Kalani ali'i, keali'i, Mauku alani e kamea mea e na kawai pare me kai e. Repeat. Mauku alani e kamea mea e ma kawai pare me kai e. Standing against SB1.
Thanks very much. Next.
My name is Min Xian. My number is 4892. I'm so thankful then I can stand here today to oppose SB1. I am a Chinese. I'm new to Hawaii. I only moved here 6 years. I become a citizen in July this year. No, actually it's January this year. So, yeah, I'm new. I think nobody knew than me here, right? Yes. Why I'm here? Because I am a daughter. I am a mother. I am a wife. I bring my daughter here because she wants to know what happened. What happened to this bill? For my English is not good, so I cannot tell her what happened. I bring her to here, so she know she will be turned 12 and this month 10. November 10 is her birthday. She is almost teenager. She need to know what happened in this island because we love this island. We love here. Yes, and always in the parents, we want to give the good thing to our children. What is good? How to we told them what is good? I want to stand here. I am really afraid I cannot say everything because for Chinese, I don't know who is gay in China before, but now here, yeah, many, but I cannot say anything for this because American, many things is good, but something she need to know what's good, what's bad. So I think please say no to SB1. Thank you.
Shay, next. Go ahead.
My name is Yao Tat Jackie Shen, and my number is 4843. I testify in opposition to the SB1. I submitted a written testimony, but I have an improved version. I want to speak on behalf of some of the immigrant families who came to Hawaii from Hong Kong and also from China to pursue the dream for democracy and who treasure strong family values and principles demonstrated in the state. I want to give you two illustrations that you will not forget. Peking duck and roast suckling pigs. Peking duck is also called stuffed Peking duck, okay, because duck farmers used funnels to feed down the throats to make sure ducks grow big in a shortened period of time. They will then be slaughtered and roasted. This is not natural and not humane. Sadly, against our will, many political leaders are also forcing the majority of the people in Hawaii to accept the same-sex marriage bill in an extraordinarily short period of time. Now, roast suckling pigs are not just roast pigs. They are piglets still feeding on its mother's milk. Suckling pigs are slaughtered between the ages of 2 to 6 weeks. Now, indoctrinated with values, ideas, practices contrary to the parents, while the law protects the children from many controversial behaviors and practices such as no smoking, no alcohol until a certain age. SB1 is doing exactly the opposite. It aggressively rips parents of their natural and legal rights to protect and guide the children with traditional values and are proven to be safe, and replaces it with indoctrination of an extremely aggressive same-sex lifestyle curriculum. We're no Peking ducks, our children are no suckling pigs. We will not allow a controversial bill to be railroaded that will crash.
Thank you very much. Next.
My name is Jane Sharoma. My number is 4860. I oppose SB1. Someone wrote in the papers, the Constitution is the highest law, but not God's word. I have questions. Why is it that we have more knowledge than ever before and more educated people with high degrees, but our country is in a bad shape? Is having a great deal of knowledge enough? It doesn't appear to be so. Man can reason with all the knowledge that differ from person to person. What is the rule of law that helped our founding fathers to use knowledge effectively in unity? Our forefathers must have had something more than knowledge in order to write up such a great constitution, which is full of wisdom, for it made our country great. There must have been wisdom as to how the knowledge is to be used, for it brought unity among them and amongst our country in spite of difficulties we faced throughout history. What is the motto of America? Isn't it all on our coins and dollar bills to remind us? Why did our forefathers choose "In God We Trust" as our motto? Why? Because they knew that that is where wisdom comes from. Many churches work quietly helping prisoners, drug users, alcoholics, homeless, even those with same-sex tendency. If I had a child with this tendency, I would want him to be healed like the young man who spoke a few nights ago of his healing of wrong choice. Do not underestimate the wisdom of the majority. We may not speak with fancy language, and some people have that I've talked to who do not go to church have the heart-led moral wisdom. Do not be deceived by the force that divides us. Are we being led into dictatorship? Let the people vote. That is our constitutional right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Genevieve Green. My number is 4859. I'm born and raised in Oahu, a registered voter, a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother. And I'm strongly opposed to SB1. I have a homosexual friend that I used to have lunches with every day for years, and we never had any problems because we never talked about our behaviors, but we just respected each other as friends. I'm here actually to speak for my great-grandchildren who I don't want to have being indoctrinated into the lifestyle of the homosexuals. And I'm also opposed to the rush and the cost to the taxpayers. This past Monday, October 28th, upstairs at the Capitol, thousands voiced their "Let the people vote." Hundreds continue to chant "Let the people vote" on Halloween night. The voice of thousands are more accurate and justifiable than the vote of 77 of you legislators. Aren't the voices resounding in your head? I want to speak to your heart. Do you hear the majority of the people opposing this SB1? Please honor and respect our voices. I'm here to speak my voice, and I want you to hear my voice. Please respect us. A yes vote is clearly, on your part, is clearly a no vote in democracy. Thank you for your time, and I'm just wondering, if this bill passes, what will happen to our Mrs. Hawaii contest? There will be changes. Lord, I speak to you again.
Good evening. My name is Fern Dalton. My number is 5153. I just want to start off by saying I love gay people. I have plenty of family and friends that are gay, but unlike some of these people here today, I mean what I say, and my actions prove this. I'm straight. I have a boyfriend. We've been together for 8 years. I cannot imagine denying anyone happiness or, in some cases, misery of getting married. Everyone has the right to love who they want. I hear a lot of talk about religion, but whose religion? The census in 2000 only has Christianity at 29%. 51% of respondents say they have no religious affiliation at all. There is a good reason that the separation of church and state is inherent in the First Amendment. It does not belong in government. It is not representative of everyone. I also have heard a lot about the children. And what scares me most is having my children, my future children, my family members' children grow up in a world where there is intolerance and hatred just because you don't like what somebody does. It's not right now. It wasn't right with Brown versus the Board of Education. It wasn't right with Loving versus Virginia. And it wasn't right with Romney versus Evans. Please do not let the fear-mongering and the slippery slope arguments about bestiality, pedophilia, and God knows what else that came spewing out of these past 3 days of testimony influence you. There's no room for fear. There's only room for love. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up.
My former manager. My name is Belinda Jacobs from the Christian Counseling and Research Centers of America, and I'd like to present some research on this issue. My number is 4858. This issue, actually nationwide, has been put under the guise of civil rights versus, and there seems to be a misnomer between civil rights and equal justice. There is no scientific proof that a gay or lesbian person is gay or lesbian. It's actually an association, like choosing a Buddhist temple versus a Catholic church. And people, I work with gay, lesbian, bisexual, and they do convert and go straight. I have one man, the abuse is so extreme, but when he comes into church, he cries his eyes out. Anyway, I'm going to present decades of research on the optimal child rearing. This comes out of Geneva, Switzerland, and you can read it in an article under Gender Complementary and Child Rearing. And you're welcome to the article. Anyway, if we want to know which way our country's going or this state will go, let's look at Massachusetts, which is a train wreck for the homosexual community, unfortunately. 30% increase in HIV and AIDS amongst the homosexuals from 2000 to 2009, although there is a downward general trend for the general population. Hey, this is saying the truth. It's facts and figures, no religious bias. The porn industry does not have these alarming numbers. Large portions, 5.5 budget item, gay domestic violence programs. What's going on in Massachusetts? Would you like to raise your child under this scenario? Anyway, first-time blood donor, 60 times more likely to have HIV in the blood than the general population. 800 times more likely than first-time blood donors. 8,000 times more likely than repeat donors. Okay, that's why they may not give blood. My daddy's name is donor. Famous research. This is landmark fundamental research. Sperm donor children do not fare as well as even adoptive children. So there's new strains of HIV apparently. If you are doing a just society, you are going to protect the people of Hawaii.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
You are going to protect the children
Next,
of
please.
Hawaii. Thank you. Including the homosexual community in Hawaii.
I'm sorry.
My English is not so good. Later on, my friend helped me.
Sorry, I can't hear you. Could you?
My English is not so good. Later, my friend helped me. Can?
Okay, sure.
Thank
Go ahead.
you. I tell my name first.
Yep.
My name is Cindy. My number is 4846.
the house and children. Marriage is a main way to generate life, one generation by one generation. This is our Chinese culture, standing there for more than 5,000 years. Same-sex lifestyle is a personal choice and not forced the general public to accept. Passing of SB1 will increase government spending on HIV and AIDS management, as male-to-male sex is an extremely high risk factor for HIV/AIDS. According to 2011 Massachusetts statewide behavior risk factor surveys conducted by the Department of Health, revealed 53% of gay and bisexual male reported 2 and more sex partners in the past year, compared to only 17% of heterosexual male reported so. Traditional marriage is an exclusive commitment between one man and one woman. However, from the survey data, we can clearly see that even after legalizing same-sex marriage for almost a decade in the state of Massachusetts, it does not bring a better exclusive commitment between the gay couples. More than half of the gay bisexual male have 2 or more long-term sexual partners. This is part of the reason why they are at such high risk of contacting and spreading HIV. Therefore, traditional marriage is superior to gay marriage. There is no equity at all. I urge you to vote on SB1. I plead to you to stand strong to defend traditional marriage for us and for our next generation to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheshe. Next.
Good evening. My name is Hannah Jo. My number is 4847. I'm from China. I'm daughter, wife, and mother. I believe marriage is one man and one woman. I strongly oppose for same-sex marriage. I stand for the next generation. 2 men and 2 women cannot produce generation to come. A family with one mother and one father means so much to me and my children. We come here not only for ourselves. We come here for our Kiki and for our Kiki's Kiki, for all our next generation. I ask all of you, please, please, please say no to SB1. Let the people decide. Thank you. I still have time. I like other sister. I just wonder, I can use my time, yeah? Okay. Please say no to SB1. Please, please, please say no to SB1. Please, please, please say no to SB1. Please
I'm sorry.
say no
Please
to
don't say that for another 30
SB1.
seconds.
Because my English is not very good. It's the only words I can speak very well. Please say no to SB1. Please say no to SB1.
Okay, but I want the audience to be
Please say
quiet.
no to
She can stand there all she
SB1.
wants.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. We have a couple more. I think there are 3 more people that are before 4,600. If you could come up. Anybody below 4,600?
Yeah, so if you can.
Chair, are we going to get to ask any questions? That was a really interesting group.
We'll ask him in just a second.
Okay.
So anyone with a number below 4,600? Looks like there's a bunch of them. Yeah, okay.
Number 4511. My name is Marvin Dryden. I'll skip the thank yous in the interest of time. As a Pearl Harbor defense contractor, I take my job very seriously, which is to keep America safe from external threats. I am here today to try to keep America and Hawaii safe from internal threats. and not the other way around. God is the boss, not us. His word speaks clearly, not against homosexual sinners, but against homosexual sin. There's a big difference. Do not allow the twisting of words to confuse this crucial difference. I recall times in my childhood when my parents would confront me for doing something wrong. And my first response was usually, "Why do you hate me?" I would use this twisting of words to try and get my way. Although it may be true that there are legal issues with the redefining of marriage as it relates to the violation of our religious rights, the much bigger issue of which we ought to be concerned is our efforts to normalize something that God never intended from the beginning of His creation for man and woman to be fruitful and multiply, and something that God Himself says is an abomination of His will. You may think you are elevating couples by passing this bill, but this bill encourages and deepens the sin. Satan loves it, while Jesus weeps. Who will you serve? Whose side are you on? Elected officials, your decision has serious consequences.
Thank you
This
very
is
much.
not about human
Next, please.
desires. I pray that you will not reject God's desire
Next,
for
please.
mankind. Thank you.
Aloha. My name is Nicole West, and my number is 4549. I am your common voting citizen who, in 1998, along with most of the voting populace, said yes to the question, shall the Constitution of the State of Hawaii be amended to specify that the legislature shall have the power to reserve marriage to opposite-sex couples? How now does the legislature take this question to mean the exact opposite? Did you know then what you were voting for? I thought it was clear what I was voting on, and I see now that something so seemingly spelled out has been twisted for an alternate agenda. I feel duped. You may or may not have been in office back then for that deceitful piece of legislation, but you are here now. Take the time needed to make this bill fair and understandable, because we can all see that there are questions that even the experts can't answer. I just want to know, are the thousands of us who have been here to testify over this week just a technicality so that you can all go through the motions of passing a bill? Or are you truly listening to those you are here to represent? We knocked on many doors yesterday, and only one representative said he would change his vote because of his constituents. I urge all of you, let your vote show us that you are the voice that we have entrusted you to be, and not the voice of political pressures you are feeling from your peers, leaders, and power heads. A measure so drastic as this needs to be appropriately examined, thoroughly thought out, and meticulously written. Be your namesake. Represent the people in opposition to this bill as it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening.
Evening.
My name is Kelike Castillo, and my number is 4550.
Thank you.
I'm 32 years old. I was born and raised in Hawaii. I am a native Hawaiian. I am opposed to this bill. This bill does not protect the rights of individuals who are not clergymen, and it does not protect families within the public school system who have moral objections to the teaching of homosexual practices, and it does not protect adopted children from non-blood related marriages with their adopted parents. Every Tuesday night for the past 2 years, my husband and I have been feeding the homeless in Waikiki through our ministry. 99.9% of donations to our ministry go to feeding the homeless in Waikiki and providing services to the poorest of the poor in this country and abroad. Today, I am speaking on behalf of the poor. It is the poor who will have to deal with the ill effects of this bill. When the DOE begins to make rulings like those preventing parents from removing children from classes over offensive material, as they did in the state of California, it is the poor who cannot afford homeschool or private education an option for many families in Hawaii who can barely afford to live here as is. Please vote no on SB1 and protect the rights of the poor and increasingly disenfranchised opposed to SB1. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Good evening, honorable legislators. My number is 4510. I'm Janelle Dryden and have served in campus ministry at UH for over 25 years. I'm trained in Stephen ministry, which specializes in listening. I'm originally from the beautiful farm country of North Iowa. When I go back to visit, I love to walk into stores and see Bible verses carved in the fronts of the desks of businesses. And they take God seriously. That's Lutheran country back there. A few days ago, retired Judge Levinson testified that Hawaii should join Iowa and legalize same-sex marriage. I wish he could have heard the desperate pleas from my Christian family members to please pray for Iowa when this deceitful process went down. What the judge failed to include in his report was that the good people of Iowa were not given a voice in this matter. Instead, it went through the court system. 3 Supreme Court judges approved it. All 3 were voted off the bench at the very next judicial retention election. Iowans were and are angry. They had trusted their leaders. Now Iowans are dealing with a quagmire of rules that kowtow to the GLBT community. And last week, my brother-in-law had to put a sign on the bathrooms stating that members of this community are allowed to use whichever bathroom they feel most comfortable in. My sister has told him that if she ever sees a head or a mirror looking at her from underneath the divider, that person's going to get a foot in the face. I don't blame her. She's angry. Can you hear it? Betrayal is something Iowans will be bitter about for a long time, and I've seen those same feelings of betrayal here. Please vote against SB1.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, members, any questions for this last group of testifiers?
Mr. Chair.
Representative Thielen, followed by McDermott.
If the first testifier could come back up, I believe you're standing against the wall over there. Thank you.
I think that's number 2 or 3, but you're pointing at me, so I assume you mean me.
I believe, yes.
Okay, yeah, Damian Lahner, 4426.
I believe you said you were a Christian and in support of the bill.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just wanted to, I happen to have been baptized and confirmed as an Episcopalian. I'm not active in the church now, but I understand the Episcopal Church supports same-sex marriage.
That's why I understand,
I
too.
just wanted to ask if you don't mind telling me what your faith is.
Yeah, not at all. So I'm Christian, and we attend the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu.
Okay.
My wife and 2 daughters.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Well, I appreciated your testimony. It was very compelling, and thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Representative McDermott.
Mr. Chair, I've got about 6 different folks I'd like to ask questions to. So after I do the first one, I'll yield back to you so you can get other folks. And
Good
then,
plan. Thank you.
Okay. The African-American service member who was from Florida, lady? Yeah, you. I'm sorry I didn't write your name down. Thank you so very much for waiting.
Thank you.
We've heard repeatedly over the weekend that this behavior is the exact same thing as black-white discrimination in the South. It's the exact same thing. There's no difference. Yet I see you before me and you say,
But I do have a choice to be bisexual or gay or all of those things, but I don't have a choice to be black.
In fact, if you would, let's reverse 40 years ago, if you'd walk into a lunch counter in Birmingham, you would have suffered discrimination immediately because of your skin color. But if you would have walked in a Caucasian male, they'd have no idea of your private sexual behavior, nor would they care, correct?
Correct, because what you do in private, people don't need to really know about, because you're doing that in private.
So a private behavior is different than a benign genetic trait. A private behavior is different than a
Private
benign...
behavior is different, yes.
Because it's a behavior, not a genetic trait.
Right.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, members, other members' questions? Vice Chair Har.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I please have Mr. Michael Ward up? Good evening, Mr. Ward. Thank you for being with us on this late hour on a Saturday evening.
Thank you.
Okay, you said
Pleasure
you're-
to be here.
Thank you. You said you're from New Hope Christian College?
I am.
Okay, could you just give me some of your background in terms of your education? Because I need to understand. There's just been a lot of talk, and I need to understand what your background is.
Okay. I have 3 master's degrees. I have a master's in immunohematology, which is blood banking. I served as the chief of the Air Force Blood Program and the head of the Department of Defense Blood Program, 30 years in the military. I have a master's in strategic resource planning. I also have a very bad cold, so forgive the pauses to swallow here. I also have a master's in transformational leadership from Bethel Seminary.
So you have a background in theology?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I went to seminary.
Okay. Mr. Ward, I don't know if you heard earlier, there's been a lot of talk about the Bible and all the hypocrisy in the Bible and how Solomon had 7,000 wives and all that. I mean, I don't even know what that was, but I'm just asking you, as someone with a background in theology, can you please, because there was a lot of exchange going back and forth about Deuteronomy and the hypocrisy in the Bible and all of that. And, quite frankly, I don't really want to go there, but I just feel that with someone with your background who actually has a master's, could you just kind of give us some insight? Because there was a lot of discussion over it, and I just kind of want to clarify that.
Sure, absolutely. The Bible is more than just a theology book. It's a history of its people. And simply because it documents a practice does not mean that it advocates that practice. In fact, there are many stories in the Bible that are forbidden by God. And just because it says that this happened didn't mean it was his choice. So we have a number of instances, the number of wives that Solomon had. That was never God's intent. And that was clarified in the New Testament.
But oftentimes from opponents, I hear things like, well, homosexuality is wrong. The Bible says it's wrong. So how do you reconcile that with what you've just explained?
Well, that's a whole different issue. There are a number of clear moral guidelines that the Bible points out. There are a number of scriptures that talk about things that God abhors. And homosexuality is mentioned in a number of scriptures, not just in the Old Testament, but in the New Testament as well. Now, I do want to say this. There are many sins, and everyone in this room has committed a sin. Just because they've committed a sin doesn't mean that they're going to hell. The difference is the sin confessed? The primary issue that I have as a Christian minister is not sin, because I have sinned. The issue is that through Christ, I have forgiveness of my sin. But forgiveness has to be confessed and repented of.
Okay.
I mean, the sin has to be confessed and repented.
We didn't actually receive your written testimony, and I did somewhat listen to your verbal testimony, but I'm still just trying to understand, why are you opposed to Senate Bill 1?
In a number of reasons. I'm opposed to it morally. Now, as I did say in my testimony, I am not opposed with giving the LGBT community all of those tax benefits. I'm happy to do that. In fact, if we could do it at the state level, I would be happy to provide it. My issue here is not the tax benefits. In terms of the coffers of the United States of America or the state of Hawaii, it is almost negligible. enrolled in school. I'm also worried about the sliding of America into a moral abyss. There are lines that we should not cross. This is one of them. So my primary reason for sitting in that hall for 30 hours this week is for the 2 minutes to go on record. This issue is about the word marriage. That's the issue. It's not about the rights. It's about the codification of something that was never meant to be as marriage. I'll give them the monies they want. You know, I'll favor that.
Okay, Mr.
And we ought
Ward.
to write legislation, and that's what SB1 ought to do, is clarify that part of it, not redefine marriage for society.
Okay, so Mr. Ward, do you have issues with any of the religious exemptions in this bill?
I do. And the problem is the accommodations law. It's not just an issue for my church, and we have a Christian school where I worship as well. It's a problem with many of our parishioners. We have 5,000 people that attend my church. Many of them are Christian business persons. And if they're forced to violate their moral guidelines in conducting business, or they will be forced to shut down, that's an issue. We heard earlier from the minister from Kalihi Union Church. That was a powerful testimony about what's happened in Canada. This thing takes on a life of its own once it goes to the courts. You guys have got to make sure this is ironclad before you pass it. And after going through the Senate and the House, there is enough doubt any reasonable person would say, we are not ready.
Okay, so you have, I mean, besides the moral issues that you have with this bill, you still have an issue with the exemptions,
Absolutely.
particularly
The accommodations issue that we've mentioned, the heritage issue, there are a number of problems that are problems with this bill.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ward.
Okay, unless someone else has a question, I'm going to go back to Representative McDermott.
Yes, could I have Ms. Jacobs, Belinda? Ms. Jacobs, you seem to be armed with a lot of facts with regards to HIV, AIDS, and stuff like that. Have you, because you quote the Center of Disease Control and the infections among men and who they are and all the rest, have you been called a hater or bigot just for repeating facts?
You know, I'm trained as a researcher, Bachelor of Science degree in physics from UCLA, and a master's. I'm started first year at HPU, and I'm a 4.0 student. But I'm also called into ministry. And the people that God gives me, actually, the Lord said, where I set my feet, I get that ground. So watch out, I'll see you guys in heaven. But what that is I operate in God's love. And I don't really get into any debates.
Just
so
real
I
quickly,
have favor with the person normally.
It's real quickly, just because of your utterances, have people called you names without
I've
knowing?
been called names. I have a brother.
Okay.
I mean, but as a bigot, no, because I don't do numbers on people. I look and feed off of where they're at and what their needs are, and love promotes another person.
Are you? I've heard a couple terms, and there was no opportunity to bring it up. But I want to get some clarity on it. Are you familiar with the terms bug chaser or gift giver?
Sounds gross.
Couldn't you explain what those terms mean?
Okay, they're just colloquial terms.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, members, any other questions? Okay, if not, that's it for today. Oh, okay. Representative Foley.
I have a question for the auntie who was singing Hawaii Pono'i. If she's, she just left like 2 seconds ago. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, Sorry, Mr. Chair.
No, there's an announcement. Don't worry, we're getting there. That's it for tonight. We will we will recess until Monday morning at 11 a.m. Monday morning at 11 a.m., which I believe is I want to say the 4th, but let me be sure. I don't know. Does anybody know what Monday morning is? It's the 4th. Okay. 11 o'clock Monday morning, the 4th, in this room here, and we will be picking up with number 4600. 4600 will be the number. Thank you very much for your participation, and hopefully we'll see you on Monday. We're in recess.